Call the meeting to order Tuesday, May 12th. The county board, work session 9 a.m. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Alt.
Yes.
Anderson.
Present.
Barron.
Here.
Bill.
Present.
Crow. Curtis.
Here.
Hanson.
Present.
Halfbargen.
Here.
Heil.
Here.
Crumweedy.
Present.
Lemie.
Here.
Persley.
Present.
Raymond.
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
Schultz.
Yes.
Schuer.
Here.
Wasmer. Whitlow.
Here.
Zumwalt.
Here. 18 people present. We're doing more. Dean, prayer, please.
Our minister for today is Pastor Doherty from the True Vine Church in West Steeple. Get up there. Microphone on? Yes. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today and we give you thanks for life. We ask that your blessing be on this meeting today as the county board comes together to make decisions on behalf of the citizens of Iroquois County. Father, we pray for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your discernment over every matter discussed here today among the board members and the citizens. Lord, I pray for each board member to prosper in health just as their soul prospers. I pray that you give each one peace over the decisions that they make and sound minds to make those decisions. May they make the best choices to prosper this county and to use the resources of the county to the best of its advantage and to bring newness for the future. We pray for every need of this board to be met and the desires of their heart for Iroquois County to be fulfilled, Almighty God. Father, we thank you for everything that you have done and everything you're about to do on behalf of this county of Iroquois and its board members. So in closing, we acknowledge you as Lord and Savior and the giver of all things that are good, and know that you hear us when we pray and that you answer our prayers. So all these things we have prayed, we ask for in Jesus' name, giving you thanks. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance, we have Mr. Munson of Crescent City, fifth grade class.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Bill, second. Kevin Hanson. Questions on the agenda? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Motion to approve the minutes for the April 14th, 2015 recess session. Ollie Alt, is there a second? Larry Halfbargen. No question on that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Motion to approve the payroll.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Crumlady, second. Don Kerr. No questions on the payroll in front of you? Call the roll.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron. Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yeah.
Halfbargen.
Yes.
Heil.
Yes.
Crumweedy.
Yes.
Lemie.
Yes.
Persley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Schuer.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
17, nothing, that passes. Before we open it up to public comments, we can try to keep it 3 to 5 minutes, best we can. And we got fifth grade kids. I know everybody's passionate about what you're going to go up and talk about, but do our best to keep it clean and respectful. Public comments. First, Greg Murphy. Promise he goes first. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Greg Murphy, the Regional Superintendent for Iroquois and Kankakee counties, and what I'm asking you to consider today is later in your finance report, there's a motion to reduce the funding to the ICANN Regional Office of Education. Wanted to explain just a bit of that. Didn't have the opportunity to come back to the Finance Committee, but I did my homework and watched the webcast of that. A portion of our office is funded jointly between Iroquois and Kankakee County. The funding formula for that is 24% comes from this county board, 76% comes from the other county, from Kankakee County Board, and it's based on EAB at the time that our offices were joined and Iroquois and Kankakee came together. Normally that is not an issue for the two boards. This year it became an issue because the budget that you approved as a county board is different than the budget for my office that the Kankakee County Board approved. And the effect of that is that you would have the authority to reduce my budget by about $13,000. My ask from you today is twofold. First, I'm asking that our budget be kept at the approved level when you pass your budget in November, December, that we be held at that level. But secondly, that you base your actions today on today's realities. In watching the committee report, there's a great deal of discussion about what the governor has planned and what the governor is asking for. But as of today, my budget is being cut in Kankakee County because of their cash basis. In Iroquois County, that wouldn't be the case. In Iroquois County, I would see that the budget would be cut because statutorily you have the authority to do so, and secondly, because of the threat that the governor has made. While I realize that we may be looking at a budgetary situation from the governor in the future, I'm asking you today to based on today's reality. So simply to continue our budget at the level that it was approved, not more but not less. Thank you.
Public comment. Step up, just give us your name and from and whatnot. Come ahead.
Morning. My name is Jim Wasser, and I'm a retired IBW electrician of 45 years. And I'm here mainly not just to talk about organized labor, but what I'm going to believe you have on the agenda today, the right to work zones. And I'd like to give you a few of my feelings on that issue due to my years of experience. When you look at the right to work zone, everyone does have to watch their costs. I understand that very well. But what you have to look at is what's going to happen afterwards. A contractor, regardless who they are, will not be cutting their costs because they're still going to have the same workman's comp insurance, and if they do pay benefits to their people, unlike the unions, all right? So the first thing they will do is they're going to keep their burden rate the same way. You will not be saving money on that issue, but what you will be doing is when they cut the wages of their workers, which will in turn affect your economy right here, okay? So if they can't have a place to go and they're not making a decent wage, they can't go out to eat once a week, where before maybe someone could go out twice a week. I know you're a very, very proud farming community, and normally when you look at agriculture, they say, how would that affect me? Well, look at your products. If people aren't making the proper wage they should and having a benefit, how can they buy beef and pork and the produce that is brought out by this farming community, which is certainly very well known throughout the state? And then you have to look at benefits. Many, many times. I see it in Kankakee, and yes, I do live in Kankakee County. I was on the school board for 12 years, so it is nice and enlightening to see young men and women come here. But what you have to look at is also it's their future, and I know you all understand that. That's why you were elected. But I would certainly ask that you vote against this, because what's going to happen, and I consider it a cancer, once it starts, what are you going to do for a tax base if people can't pay their taxes? If they don't have benefits? I see it in Kankakee all the time. When someone doesn't have insurance, where do they go? They go to the local hospital and the emergency room. And who do you think ends up paying for that? It's not them. So I would certainly and strongly urge you, you have to watch your money, I do understand that, but please do not do it on the backs of your working men and women that pay the taxes here, that pay your small stipends that you get for these meetings. Thank you very much.
I'm Steve Pinkston. First of all, I got some copies on Lisa Madigan's legal opinion on authority for counties and municipalities to adopt right-to-work ordinances and school districts to opt out of the Prevailing Wage Act. Okay, I'm a field rep with the Labor's Local 751. I've lived here in Watsika my whole life. Governor Rauner has proposed the creation of local right-to-work zones, or what he calls empowerment zones. As a member of Local 751, we oppose this type of backdoor anti-union effort. It has been ruled illegal by the state's attorney general. I am sure that any effort to enact these type of laws will cost our county dearly in lost money attempting to defend an illegal action. These laws drive down wages for all workers, not just unions. Workers in right-to-work states earn more than $5,000 less per year than the states without these laws. 8 of the 12 states with the highest unemployment rate have right-to-work laws. All Governor Rauner talks about, he wants to be like Indiana. Well, Illinois created 103,000 jobs last year. Indiana created 89,000. The State Chamber of Commerce even added, Illinois does not need right to work to compete with our neighbors. Thank you.
There, Mike Matika with Labor's Union. I want to follow up from my friend Steve there. Again, I would urge you to table this resolution in support of the turnaround agenda, and I think we had some good comments here. A rising tide lifts all boats, and if we pass legislation in the state of Illinois to drive down wages, that drives down the economy. That means people don't have money to spend in restaurants, they don't have money to buy a new pickup truck, they don't have money to spend in the local economy. And I would think the turnaround agenda we need is one that sustains wages and sustains people so that they can have a decent living. And more we can do to not divide the community, but work together to do things to uphold this county and uphold the community are things that will build a better future for us. And I don't think we need these kind of divisions, and the crowd that's come out here today to speak against this or to stand against this is not building community and bringing people together. And I know our local working people be very happy to talk with county officials and visit with people to talk about what we can do to be more efficient and to build a better community. But please turn this agenda around, and hopefully you'll read that report from the Attorney General that says many of the things proposed here are not legal under state or federal law. I don't think Iroquois County needs to get itself in the middle of a controversy with an issue like this. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. My name is Pat Richards. I'm with the Carpenters Union. As you can most of you see in the handout you have, Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan has said that this action you're trying to pass is illegal. Towns have lived within their budgets over the last 8 years. The state hasn't. Now the governor wants to push the burden from the state down to the municipalities to make them eat more of the pie again. It's going to really impact your budget. The other thing you got to look at is if you pass this agenda, the Attorney General said it's illegal. There's 27 municipalities that are now involved in lawsuits. You're going to be wasting more of your tax dollars defending a lawsuit if you pass something that's illegal. That makes no sense. The University of Illinois and Michigan studied the effects of right to work. It reduces private sector earnings in manufacturing by 9%, construction by 22%, increases gender and racial wage inequality. If your daughter and your son work at the same place, I think they should get the same wage. Right to work isn't for that. After the third year of change, your annual total labor income would drop between $2 and $9 billion and $35 to $40 billion over the next 5 years. After the third year of adoption, annual state income tax revenue would decline by 75 to $355 million and 1.5 billion in 5 years. This turnaround agenda has nothing to do with fixing a budget. The numbers speak for themselves. You work for less, you pay less tax. It's a simple formula. It's a plan to eradicate unions and eradicate the middle class, basically. You want people to work for less? Is that what people elected you for? I'd like to tell you about the Carpenters Union Apprenticeship Program. It's a 4-year apprenticeship. Minimum 5,700 hours in the field. Most of our apprentices graduate with almost 8,000 hours in the field, plus 160 hours a year in the classroom. It's more hours than it takes to get a bachelor degree. Union apprenticeships are privately funded. We take money out of our checks in order to educate our people, make them skilled craftsmen so they can work on projects. We equal the 5th largest privately funded higher education system in the United States, unions. We're not coming here asking for tax dollars, breaks on student loans. We're here to pay for our people, educate them, put them to work on public projects. That stimulates your local economy. I'm not familiar. Is everybody sitting out here as a board member? Does anybody know where prevailing wage began at? Show of hands. Prevailing wage started back when they built the subways in New York. Out-of-state contractor came in with unskilled people. The job collapsed. They couldn't finish the job. The city of New York had thousands of people on their streets, in their soup kitchens. There was no unemployment back then. Federal government stepped in and said, we need to make a law that says whatever the wage pays in that area, that's what contractors should pay to people on public works jobs. There's no need to have somebody come from out of state, pay their people less, and the tax dollars leave your community. That's what prevailing wage does for your community. Creates good paying jobs that I'm sure the people that elected you could use. So, does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
My name is P.J. McCullough, and I live in the county. I'm a registered voter in the county, and I'm a farmer in the county. And I disagree with the turnaround agenda. I believe that it's wrong. So thank you to Russell Bills. He gave me a copy of the form that was sent out. So I thought I'd just read through them and give some of my thoughts to the board on the 13 different issues on turnaround agenda. The first one says, whereas Illinois state law creates a one-size-fits-all approach to collective bargaining, this approach creates added costs which are ultimately passed on to the taxpayers. I would say that yes, I agree with the first part. The state law does create a one-size-fits-all. However, I disagree with the conclusion they come to. And I will point towards the Illinois Department of Central Management. This is a department in the state of Illinois that negotiates with vendors. If you are a municipality and you need a police cruiser, if you are a municipality and you need a road ditch mower, you can go to an approved vendor. They have already negotiated with the supplier, with the manufacturer. And that price is usually cheaper than what you can get at a bid price. I work at McCullough Implement in Watsika here. And I've been on both sides of the preferred vendor list. Sometimes the preferred vendor is one of the vendors that we have. Sometimes it isn't. But what the difference is do you want to spend time making bids? Do you want to spend time writing up things, or sit there and say, hey, you know what? This batwing mower that we use to mow our road ditches is available from this company, and the state's already got a price. We don't have to go bid it out. This price is already here and set. We can just go buy it. Okay, that's the first option. The other thing being that this agenda says that statewide negotiations are good for vendors, but it's not good for our employees. Our employees shouldn't have the right to be a statewide they shouldn't have the same rights that the vendors have that the state deals with, to sit there and say, hey, you know what? All the people that work in this particular job have been in this particular job for so many years, they need to have the same wage, whether you live in Chicago, or whether you live in Iroquois County, or Champaign County, or Effingham County. That's how it is with the central management. That's how it is with some of these negotiations on the teachers and so on and so forth. So that's the first one. The second one, voters and local officials should determine what is the subject of bargaining, not the state. I personally believe that the public employees should have a vote on what is subject to bargaining, regardless of the employer, whether it's the state, the county, the municipality, the school district. The employee should have a vote on what is subject to negotiation. So I'm just saying there are two sides to every negotiation. Just because the state or the turnaround agenda says, oh, we're not going to negotiate paid time off or paid family leave. We're not going to negotiate vacation time. You know what? The employees might want that. And in that case, those things should be in the negotiations. Number 3, whereas local control of bargaining would allow voters or local governments to determine that certain topics should be excluded from collective bargaining, including contracting, wages, provisions of health insurance, use of employee time, required levels of staffing, procedures and criteria for personal evaluations, academic performance, conduct, and discipline in schools. I disagree with everything in this statement. Everything in this list should be a portion of the negotiations for the employee and the employer. Then the fourth one, state law sets thresholds for workers on state and local construction projects, increasing costs significantly. Now, I'm a numbers person, okay? I don't understand what significantly means. Is that they've increased the cost by 10%, 20%, 30%? Significantly is this grand illusion that we have that it's a big number. But in fact, significantly could be a very small number. Labor on the wages earned by the workers on construction projects represent a very small subset of the cost of that construction project. We go have a road rebuilt here in Iroquois County. The asphalt costs more. The diesel fuel usually costs more for the guy riding on the machine that lays the asphalt. The fuel to run that machine costs more than the man sitting in the seat. I use the same example on any manufacturing type position. A lot of us in here are farmers or work for farmers. And I'll guarantee you there are very few of us farmers that make more per hour than the tractor we're pulling the tool through the field consumes in diesel fuel alone, let alone the depreciation, let alone the interest costs. So these costs all represent larger aspects than what the skilled labor that are running those machines represent. And so if you've taken a man from, or a woman, the labor force, and you said, okay, we're going to cut it in half. On a $50 million road project, what did you say? A couple $100,000? $400,000? $400,000 is a lot of money. However, the $400,000 that is paid to those employees, if they're local employees, that money circulates in the economy 7 times. So that has generated money for the guy that puts brakes on the car, the guy that buys groceries, the person that employs the guy that packs the groceries at the grocery store. Okay? Number 5 says, whereas state law has increased utilization of project labor agreements for construction projects. I agree with that. I don't think it's a bad thing, however. This is saying that that's a bad thing. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. Number 6. Repealing the Illinois prevailing wage law and the requirements for project labor agreements will allow local governments more control over construction and project costs. Boy, that sounds like it's really a good thing. However, it's wrong. It's incorrect. As I said earlier, the labor component of any construction project is a small component to those jobs, those budget items, those line items. The price of the labor to put the boiler in, that's on the agenda later, I see. The cost for the labor to put the boiler into the jailhouse is pretty small compared to the cost of the boiler. The boiler is going to cost way more than the guy that puts it in. And it's going to cost more than his insurance and his workman's compensation and all those other things, his retirement plan. The boiler is going to cost more. So if the boiler, and maybe there's a breakdown on that, I haven't seen that. If the boiler costs $15,000 and there's a $23,000 line item, if we cut that man's wages in half, what do we save, a couple $1,000s? But that couple $1,000s then goes back into the economy and just recirculates. Because that guy's going to buy tires. And that guy's going to buy food and groceries and a toy for his kid. One example that I will use, I used to live in Indiana. I used to work down north side of Indianapolis, and I would drive back to Iroquois County quite often. And I would drive on the Interstate 65 from Lebanon, Indiana, up to Rensselaer, and then I get off and come over across 24. When I moved back to Illinois, they began refinishing I-65. And they put in the paper that they were going to save so much money on this road project. The new governor over there had negotiated a right-to-work state, and they were going to save so much money. They're reworking that road right now. That road is having to be completely, they're going in sections, but it's going to have to be rebuilt and redone because the low-wage workers that were doing the job either weren't using quality materials or weren't doing the job correctly. So my question becomes, if you don't have time and money to do it right the first time, can you really afford to have it redone? 20%, 30% of its normal useful life? Well, you know, we got to redo it in 5 years and it should last 15. I don't know, I'm not sure the fellow's name sitting next to you, Russell. Could you tap him on the shoulder and wake him up? No offense, sir, I'm a citizen of this county.
I've listened to every word you said.
Okay, you look like you're asleep.
Well,
And I'm sorry, I feel I demand a little bit more respect for taking time out of my day to talk about something I care about. So if you'll give me just a little bit of respect, thank you very much.
100% right.
Number 7. More than 280 unfunded mandates have been imposed in recent years on communities across Illinois, costing those communities billions. Rolling back mandates will create more flexibility in local government budgets. I will agree that unfunded mandates are not good. However, some of those unfunded mandates are for safety purposes. Some of those unfunded mandates have been positive things. I know when I drive around the community and I see a road crew that is mowing the road ditches along our state highways, there's usually a truck behind them and maybe a truck behind that. That's for safety. That's to sit there and say, hey, listen, there's a tractor and a boat mower up in front of us. Slow down a little bit. Is that an unfunded mandate? Is that not a good place to have an unfunded mandate? Now, I think the state should, if they're going to require that, maybe they should send a little money down our way. However, the person who is in favor of the turnaround agenda, he has consistently and put in his budget talked about reducing the portion of sales taxes that are going to come back to the local communities. So what unfunded mandates are we doing? Look, we want to have these mandates and say, oh, well, you know what, we're not going to fund them, we're going to fund everything else less. Number 8, whereas the Illinois workers' compensation costs are the 7th highest in the nation, and more than double the cost in Indiana. I'll say workers' compensation is insurance policy that the employer or the business purchases to protect their investment in their business. If that employee gets hurt on the job, they now cannot sue their employer for costs. They sue the insurance company, but they cannot, by law, sue that employer. We had a person at my work who broke his leg a year ago. His hospital bills were paid. He now has a pin through his leg that he has to live with, and he was given some compensation for that. That came from the insurance company. It did not come from the employer. If you got workers' compensation in this state, then those employers are now partially liable for some of those costs. Number 9, whereas updating how injuries are apportioned to ensure employers pay for injuries that occur on the job, a clarification regarding the definition of traveling employees to ensure a reasonable standard that excludes risks that would impact the general public, and the implementation of the American Medical Association guidelines when determining impairment would result in major cost savings for local government. There again, they use one of those words, they say major cost savings. There's no number, so I don't know what they consider major. But if anybody else can explain the rest of that paragraph, please enlighten us, because I, for life of me, don't understand what that is saying. They're just saying, hey, these costs are too high, we need to lower them. Number 10, whereas voters in our community should be allowed to decide by a referendum whether or not employees should be forced to join a union or pay dues as a condition of employment. Now, I'm not a union member. I've never been a union member. However, I do know people that are in unions. And my understanding of this law in the state of Illinois, and maybe if there's any lawyers in the room, they can correct me if I'm wrong, you're not required to be in a union if you're even if you're in a union shop. You're required to pay fair share dues. But if you're in a union shop, you say, you know what, I don't want to be in the union. You don't have to pay. You don't have to be in the union. But you still have to pay for the benefits that the union has negotiated on your behalf. Because the union is still required to lobby on the employee's benefit even though they're not in the union. I have a friend of mine who works for UPS. And a lot of people say that, union dues are outrageous. They're taking all my paycheck, a lot of my paycheck. He works for UPS, and his comment to me when I asked him 3 days ago was, how much are the union dues that are taken out of your paycheck to pay for the union? And he said, PJ, he goes, our union dues at UPS are $2 per hour per week. He said, so his example was, if I make $20 an hour, because my union dues are $40 a week. That's it. He goes, however, union dues do not pay for, with UPS, retirement accounts. They don't pay for health insurance. UPS handles the health insurance and the retirement accounts because that was what was negotiated with the union on how they do it. I've also got an uncle that is now a retired truck driver. He was a owner-operator. He was in the Teamsters Union. His dues were quite a bit more than $40 a week, if you can imagine. But the Teamsters Union, in his aspect, provided him with health insurance, provided him with a pension that he's now drawing on. His dues were 20% or up to $3,000 per month. But there again, that provided him with a pension and it provided him with health insurance. How much do the normal people, the W-2 wage earners that are working in this county, in this district, in this area, how much do we pay for health insurance? My health insurance is almost $800 a month. That is way more than 20% of my wages. My retirement is, I contribute 10% of my pay to my simple IRA through the dealership. Now, You take those two numbers, and in my opinion, he can get the deal. All right? Number 11, whereas local empowerment zones will help attract jobs and make our community more attractive for businesses. Manufacturing businesses want to locate in places with good schools, safe communities, and trainable workers, intelligent workers, workers who have been through a good school system. If by lowering our wages on our local people, it will lead to more of a transient population in our schools, which leads to lower test scores, which leads to more people going from this school to this school to this school, and before you know it, that kid's been in 4 schools and they're still in the 3rd grade. Well, they missed something in between, because maybe school number 1 handles division in the first semester, and school number 2 handles it in the second one. So if they go from school number 2 to school number 1, they've missed how to divide, add, and subtract. Okay? But if you get stable jobs, stable employment, stable wages in our community, the people will stick around, and those jobs will be here, those kids will stay in school, and those manufacturing jobs will be here and they will come back. Number 12, there's only 2 more, guys. Just be another couple minutes. Whereas local governments face unfunded liabilities that threaten core services and functions of government, state action on pension reform for future work should provide local governments the ability to address pension reform for future work as well. It's my belief that local governments are in such dire straits before we think about reneging on contracts that have been negotiated in good faith with employees of the past. We should seek any additional revenue sources that could present themselves or may present themselves to this county. I can think of 2 in recent memory. Recent years, the citizens of this county have seen an ethanol plant that wanted to build just on the west side of town, and that was denied. A building permit has been my understanding. I was at one of the meetings. I don't remember how it worked out, but I know we don't have a methanol plant. And an ethanol plant in this community would generate for the local farmers who then buy stuff at the local mom and pop hardware stores and the local communities and the gas stations and the tire shops. 20 to 30 cents per bushel of additional revenue could have been produced if we could have had an ethanol plant in the buckle of the Corn Belt, like we want to put on our signs on each end of the county on Route 24. We're the buckle of the Corn Belt, but we couldn't get an ethanol plant built. So all of our corn, most of our corn, 90% of it, is shipped out of county to either Indiana or to over to Gibson City or other areas to make ethanol, which we all burn in our vehicles. And for my vehicle, it increases my gas mileage. Another one that's another possible revenue source that's been stifled by this board or previous boards, perhaps, the draconian setback requirements and a lot of the regulations on windmills. You know, I've got a square 160 acres that I own north of town here. I couldn't put a windmill dead center of it without getting permission from every one of my neighbors. Now, I am a quarter mile from anybody's property limits. But because of the 2,500-foot setback requirement, I couldn't put a windmill dead center of my farm. Quarter mile is 1,320 feet for those that's not doing the math. Number 13, therefore be it resolved, blank, endorses major reform in the state government that will encourage local control, reduce costs on local governments, empower local voters, and increase competitiveness in our community. I believe the board should vote no to endorse the turnaround agenda. I've expressed some reasons already. However, most important fact that many of these reforms require action by the Illinois legislature or even amendment of the state constitution in order to be enacted. You know, we do have real problems in this county. And it's kind of aggravating that we will spend time and waste time talking about an agenda that, first of all, has nowhere to go, because the state legislature is not going to pass any of this. So, I just, I think it's a non-starter in the state legislature. I don't think there's enough popular support for this to enact a state constitutional amendment in order to make any of these things legal. My question becomes to the board members, why are we spending time talking about it? I've been to 3 meetings that it's been discussed. I've probably taken up too much time, Kyle, and I'm sorry for that.
23 minutes. You're
Okay. Well, I'm a McCullough, so I'm long-winded. You got to give me that. Anyway, thank you for your time and your thoughts, and hopefully my presentation has swayed your vote in the coming minutes. Thank you very much.
I hadn't planned on saying anything, but I had 2 phone calls from people representing the governor's office trying to sway my vote to yes. So it excited my curiosity. I did a little research on the internet, and I found a report put out by 2 experts. And this report says a new study by 2 local labor and economic experts examines the potential economic impact of Republican Governor Browner's proposed right-to-work zones. If they were adopted in half the state's counties, according to the report, local right-to-work regulations would likely weaken Illinois' economy, and they would encourage free riding, lower working earnings, and reduce state and local revenues. This report was put out by Bob Bruner, Professor of Labor and Employment Relations at the University of Illinois, and Frank Manzo, Policy Director at the Illinois Policy Institute. Brown's proposal lacks support in the General Assembly, and this is his effort to end-run them. If 51 counties enacted right-to-work zones, employment would increase statewide by approximately 2,348 jobs. Worker income would decline by $1.3 billion, and Illinois' economy would shrink by $1.5 billion. Also would be an $80 million loss in state and local revenues. Right-to-work decreases wage and salary income for workers by an average of 3.2%. There is no evidence or statistical viability to verify claims that right-to-work grows the economy. What it does is redistribute income from labor to capital, from workers to employers, and from middle class to upper class. Attorney General Lisa Madigan states the right-to-work violates the National Labor Relations Act, and communities cannot enact such measures.
public comment.
Good morning. I'm Susan Begovish, and I'm president of Local 3612, which represents the Highway 31st, the State Attorney, all the judicial and, our building here. I have been president for a while. This time I was president before for about 8 years, and I was fortunate enough to get that job back. And I want to thank all of you for coming and supporting us. It's wonderful complaining to me that we're not by ourselves. We are waiting on a contract that's up. The labor board is up in Chicago now. It's been a couple of years since we've had a contract. So we're still going on the old one, which is fine for right now. And I just want to say that we need this union, and you know how I feel, and I just thank you for letting me speak.
I'm Jean Hiles, I'm a county board member. I just wanted to say, we discussed having night meetings, and the reason to have night meetings is so we'd have attendance. I've always said if there's a contested agreement or a project going on, we'll have a crowd. I think this kind of points out that it doesn't make any difference whether it's night or day. If people want to be here, they will be. Thank you.
Any other public comment? That's all.
I'm Patrick McCullough. Some of you probably remember me, I'm kind of old. But anyway, I'm a retired farmer, and I used to work in the union. This right work thing is not right. It's going to make our county economy worse. We're already, 30 years ago when I worked at UARCO, this county was probably in the middle of what we call the public aid percentage of our population that had to have public assistance. Today, the percent of our population is number one in the state of Illinois that needs public assistance. We're not no longer in the middle of the road. We're the worst off county in the state. And this will even make it even worse. And my son spoke earlier, and I want to make one comment. One of the things he said about the ethanol plant, he didn't mention the 30 to 20 cent thing, but he did not tell you the effect it actually had on the farmers. That is $15 to $20 million a year that this county did not receive in money to the farmers to spend in this county. Because of this county board, of the future past county board. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Seeing none? Chairman comments? And one of those come here. Outside committee reports. Ken Barrett.
Kids at this meeting was encouraging them to go into politics, and they left already. A lot of different faces in the room. I'm Ken Barrett. I'm the executive director of the Iroquois Economic Development Association. Not too many here, Kyle, with a couple updates. I wanted to bring up, I guess, again, the good news last month that Lion Workspaces bringing those jobs in. It amazes me sometimes how when you get some good news, you still get the naysayers. I've had more than one person tell me just what we need and a few more $10 to $15 an hour jobs. We need some real jobs, and we've heard a lot about jobs here today already. Well, all I can say back to them is a job's a job, and I firmly believe a job is better than no job. But there'll be, of course, higher paying jobs, but as it always is, the higher paying jobs come from experience and learning, so let's start. Let's do something. I get aggravated with comments like that. I got a letter, not an email, from a worker in Ohio who's losing their job because of the close down of the plant over there. And I responded to him in an email, and I said that the owners of Lion were not responsible. The company over there was owned by one of the venture capital funds. Well, the owners of Lion weren't responsible for that factory closing down. They closed it, and these guys bought the assets of it. I said the jobs were going somewhere, so we fought to bring them here. And I told them that over the last 20 or 25 years, we've had the same situation, watching probably 5,000 manufacturing jobs go south or overseas. And so I had a little sales pitch and told him how great it was in Iroquois County and come visit us and consider moving here and bring his expertise with him. But, you know, there's always good and bad whenever something happens. I'm happy to be on the good side of it. I feel for the people that lose their jobs there, but it's changing around us. We got to hustle to keep up. I've had a couple people say, boy, they made a mistake building that addition. It's not near big enough. Just a little negative comment, you know, when you tell people something positive, you get all, well, if you've driven by there, the addition's pretty big. And it's plenty big enough that the fact is that when they get hiring and production goes forward and that sort of thing, they will no doubt add a second shift. And if the production gets high enough, they'll probably add a third shift. We've had other factories running three shifts around here. Some of the people in the room probably worked a third shift or two. And that gives them some economies of scale and it keeps them strong and that'll keep them number one in their industry. I guess is the best way to say it. Another subject you've no doubt probably heard or seen in the news that there's a new Dollar General going to be built up in Clifton, and the village board approved that last week. It's been a bit of a battle going on. There was, as always, pros and cons, arguments, and for and against. We're pretty excited to see that growth in jobs and new product offerings and that kind of thing. But we're also, again, there's negatives. There's a grocery store up there that we're going to be working with to try to make sure that they stay viable, and we're anxious to work with the stores on Main Street to make sure they all stay there. But I consider that progress too. There were some pretty vehement arguments against that in the past few weeks. A little mention of the Casey's project out here again. Again, we're excited to see a brand new, bigger Casey's building that's going to be built. But like I just mentioned in Clifton, we're going to have our work cut out to keep the Main Street of Watseka viable. Because Casey's, if you recall, in Milford, it was closed for quite a long time and when it went dark. And I don't like to see that. I like to see the lights on in every building in every town. I don't like to see anybody fail regardless of what business they're in. But the restaurant next door, if you've noticed, they've cut their hours, and so the push is on, I guess. You know, I always question it when I hear somebody on TV and they're going to reclaim their downtown area. And I always wonder why they let it go down in the first place. You know, why didn't they put on a full court press when the exodus started and try to keep it from going down to begin with? So that's what we'd like to think we're going to try to do. A little quick update on the Bosch building. We had what we thought was a good prospect that is no longer a prospect, but I've been keeping after the realtor and the bank in Ohio that holds the property to not let it go the route of the Howard's building in Milford. They finally had it, they had an online auction and they had a minimum bid of $1.5 million on it. Well, they finally had it reappraised at $900,000 to $1 million, and they've reduced the price, but I don't think either the bank or the people that appraised it necessarily took a very good look. So I've advised them to see the property and talk to us. It's in a floodplain, and there's a lot of liability to come with the property. So my opinion is they should, it's probably worth half as much. They should come and consider reality. I wish reality would sit in a little quicker. I at one time took a $500,000 offer to the bank that held the Howard Industries building. They not only lost that money, it cost them to tear the building down before the whole thing was over. So I guess when the big city banks and that hold on to things, they don't care to look at what's going on in the county and the small communities, and they sure won't listen to us, I can tell you that. One last thing, IDA, my group, is co-sponsoring a series of seminars with the USDA. It's between now and 2017, and they'll be here in Iroquois County. Our six-county regional group, the East Central Illinois Economic Development District, that we've always paid dues to, everybody that's on the board, most of you on the board know we've done that in the past. We applied for a USD grant over a year ago, and of course the red tape and everything, it finally got approved, but our ECIEDD group kind of has gone dormant, as you know, and so the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission has taken over the responsibility of fulfilling the grant requirements. We're co-sponsoring these not only with USDA and CCRPC, but with Vermilion Advantage, Tuscola Economic Development, and the Village of Rantoul. These seminars will go on for a year and a half, something like that. Professional training programs with professional teachers in topics like governance, planning, and economic development. We had a first one. There's going to be like quarterly meetings. We had a first one that took place on February 18th, and it was right here in the county boardroom. I wasn't able to attend the board meeting that particular month, so I didn't get to let you all know about that from the podium here. But we've got another one coming up on June 3rd. The first one was on meeting procedures, and since you guys all know how to have meetings, maybe you didn't miss a lot. But the next one that's coming up on June 3rd will be here in the county boardroom, 5:30, and that one covers grant writing and project funding. I think it will be a good one. So, as with any federal government program, there's all kinds of rules and red tape and regulations to be eligible. I can't explain why this was, but specifically eligible communities in Iroquois County are System Park, Crescent City, Gilman, Loda, Milford, and Argus, Sheldon, Waseca, Wellington, and Woodland. I will just say Iroquois County. But they also specified townships that Beaverville, Belmont, Concord, Crescent, Douglas, Middleborough, Milford, and Argus, and Sheldon. And I don't know the formula that went behind that, but those are the communities and townships that this program is aimed at. But in our actuality, the promotional focus has to go towards those qualified communities and townships. But we feel that any local or county government, board member and or officials, everyone's welcome. In other words, nobody will be turned away. So June 3rd, right here in this room, 5:30, the seminar will be on grant writing and project funding, so you're welcome to come.
What was the date on it? June 3rd. Are there any other outside committee reports? Members of the county board and committee to whom is referred policy and procedure will beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. They met at the Administrative Center on April 30th, 2015 at 9 a.m. Members present, County Board Chairman Anderson, Hanson, Russell, Bills, Schur, Schultz, and Barron. Dan Raymond, clerk criminalities were absent. Also present, County Clerk Lisa Pancher, Treasurer Mindy Kuhn-Hagen, Supervisor of Assessment Bob Yergler, ICPHD Administrator Dee Shippert, IDA Director Ken Bergery, County Board Member Charlie Alt, Marvin Stignott, AFSCME Staff Representative Dave Beck, County Employee Susan Vegovich, Iroquois County resident P.J. McCullough, State Illinois retiree Donald Price, Bradley resident Al Whitman, and Carl Waters of the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. During public comment, the AFSCME Staff Representative Dave Beck spoke about the presented turnaround agenda and asked the committee to look at the points. He said the working men and women are at fault for the state's fiscal lows. Studies show the workers in right-to-work zones make $5,000 less per year. Mr. Beck urged the committee once again to reject the turnaround agenda. Similar comments were voiced by county employee Susan Vegovich, Iroquois County resident P.J. McCullough, State of Illinois retiree Donald Price, and Bradley resident Al Whitman. Committee chairs gave their monthly reports. Judicial Chairman John Schur reported normal reports will be received and a discussion will be held on the recent outages. Highway Chairman Russell Bills said his committee will discuss letting for bridges and annual striping. Management Chairman Lyle Behrens will open bids and Committee will take action on Administrative Center and Jail Roof Project, Administrative Center Parking Lot Resurfacing Project, and Administrative Center Boiler Project. Finance Committee will receive their normal monthly reports. Tax Chairman Dale Schultz will review regular reports and discuss animal control with his committee. Supervisor of Assessment Bob Yergler reported the Planning and Zoning Committee has 2 appointments being presented to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Before the Zoning Board of Appeals, Steve Rapp and Don Dean. The Health Committee is waiting on the Illinois Department of Health for grant funding. County Board Chairman Anderson told the committee as the Director Eric Stacy was unable to attend a meeting and will be presenting his monthly report to the Finance Committee. Anderson gave an update on the ECSB advisory panel, saying the panel is leaning towards a public safety tax and possibly be added to the ballot at some point. Anderson made the committee aware of County Board member Susan Wingman's last day being April 30th, and there's now a vacancy on the County Board. Anderson said he would send a letter to Shane Coulter with this information. Anderson gave an update on the forensic audit. Andrew Garrett with Garrett Discoveries is expected to be in attendance on the County Board meeting on 12th to present the results. The committee held a discussion on turnaround agenda that was presented to them last month for their review. It was moved by Scher and seconded by Hanson to adopt the turnaround agenda as a resolution and send it to the Governor, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House, and our local representatives. Roll call vote was taken and motion carried. Anderson asked the committee for suggestions regarding parameters for the public comment. At this time, the policy is not enforced. Schultz and Scher agreed. There should be some sort of policy set based upon subject matter and a time limit set. The committee will continue to discuss the matter in the following months. It was moved by Raymond, seconded by Barons, to adjourn 9:31 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote. All which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for its adoption. Charlie, all set. Okay. And Raymond cannot make a motion.
Excuse me, you said you passed it at a previous meeting? I'm having a hard time understanding you back here.
Yeah, it was.
You passed this at a previous meeting?
No, it doesn't get passed, so it goes through full board, but it was sent from the policy committee to the full board.
So we voted
Today.
on it today before we
Today,
go home?
yes.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. As far as Andrew Garrett, I'm gonna get back in contact with him. I just got done reading a lot of these, so that's another matter, but if we have questions. Steve?
I have it. In the list of members present, it sounds like Marvin Sicknott is a board member, and I think that should be corrected. I've seen it in some other reports.
I'm trying to face it out, but it says county board member, not members,
Okay,
so.
all right.
Comments from the board? Questions? Vince?
Can I make a motion to remove the paragraph about the turnaround agenda? Then I do.
Got a motion on the floor to remove for separate consideration today, I'm assuming?
Yes.
A motion on the floor from Benson Lee to remove paragraph, starts the committee held discussion on turnaround agenda, and the motion carries. Second from Larry Hasbargen. Is there questions on what the motion is? Take it out, separate it, consider it today. And yes vote removes it. I know a vote keeps it in the report. Yes vote just makes you have to stay on that item once you're going to vote. Somebody have any questions? Like I said, yes vote removes it, no vote keeps it in. Call the roll.
Barron.
Yeah.
Bill.
No.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
No.
Hasbargen.
Yes.
Kyle.
No.
Crumweedy.
No.
Lemie.
Yes.
Persley.
Yeah.
Raymond.
No.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Schultz.
Yeah.
Schuer.
No.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
No.
Alt.
No.
Anderson.
Yeah. For the removal. Second consideration.
9-8. Pass.
It has been removed for separate consideration. So we are now separately considering the turnaround agenda. Consider it, gentlemen.
Thanks.
my opinion is on the research I found on the internet this morning, and I just feel it's bad for the county. I don't feel it helps the county, the residents, which is what my job is to do.
In general, the idea of reducing any type of wages in this area just seems to be counterproductive. We have so few good-paying jobs as it is. People like myself that have children, I don't see too many options for them being able to afford to live here on the wages that are paid. So I would in general, vote against anything that's going to lower wages.
Evan?
This is a non-binding resolution. We're not changing law. This will have to be negotiated in Springfield. You know, I'm sure according to what we've heard today, we're guilty for everything here. But the simple fact is the state is severely close to bankruptcy. I don't know what's right or wrong in these things. It'll be decided by people other than me. And what I liked about this resolution was it would come back to our people, and our people would vote for it. You know, there's always somebody in Springfield from either Chicago or downstate that wants to control something. This would come to us, and I like that. You know, we have so many things now that the state takes away from us. If they build a hog farm in Iroquois County, we don't have a voice in it. You know, and this isn't changing the law, it's putting something out there to look at. We had a 66% tax increase by the government 3 or 4 years ago. They didn't fix their books, they just spent more money on other things. And the only way you're going to get out of this is by higher taxes. And I don't see that as good for the economy either. I'm not saying anything here is going to fix the state's woe, but you've got to look at everything. Because if you don't, it's not going to work. And everybody's going to be hurt if the state goes bankrupt. But a $111 million pension deficit is unsustainable. And it's getting worse. You know, they're losing their borrowing capacity. Their rating for borrowing money is going down every year. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I haven't seen anybody else here giving us any answers either.
Okay, well, I haven't heard any other proposals other than lower wages.
Now, they're highlighting that here.
Yeah,
but
I know.
we are losing jobs to Indiana. I mean, we lost 2 factories. I mean, somebody can say that Bosch is going to go to Taiwan, but right now it's in Indiana. It left to Malaysia. It's going to Malaysia, wherever the hell it's going. But we just keep losing jobs over here, and we can't. We got to do something to stop these jobs. So we got to have a level playing field some way. I'm not saying that this cutting wages thing is the issue. I mean, I've hired union contractors twice, 3 times, because I got a good job. But we also have to look at how we fix it. I mean, I have no grievance with any of these people. I mean, we tried everything to get more money here. We cannot borrow money that we can't pay back in the same fiscal year. But yet, any of these cuts, somebody's got to go home. Now, we did our due diligence. We've got our bookkeeping in order. We've got our pension plan secured. If we follow the things that we plan for the next couple of years, our people are protected. But we've got to look at the whole picture here. You know, it just can't be, don't do this, because it's just accelerating downhill. And if somebody can come up with a better idea than this resolution, they should have done it.
Then why didn't you okay windmills? Why you got the windmills so restricted?
Come on.
Don't vote on it!
Hold on, public comments are over, folks.
You guys are out
Sorry.
of order.
You know, there's nothing saying that this is going to change anything in Springfield. And we support resolutions, non-binding resolutions all the time for different things.
Yeah, but it's the heart of the resolution that we vote on. And the heart of this resolution is lowering people's wages. That's the heart of it. And I can't vote for it if that's the major part of it.
if there's other things to consider, if they start emphasizing doing something like worker-owned co-op to get things here, because the big businesses are leaving us, because we can't stand the amount of how low our wages are getting pushed, then we need to consider other things. You said it yourself that we need to look at everything.
We have to look at everything.
Right, and I don't see too many other options being considered other than
Well, they'll work it out.
lowering wages.
They'll work it out. I'm not sure that...
As far as Indiana just lost a big factory in Canton. I don't know where it moved to, but it's closed. So they lose factories too, just like we do.
Okay, let's go one at a time for the Great. Russell?
The only thing is, Ben, the term lowering wages, I do not see that wrote in here nowhere in black and white.
They would not
On the
do that.
turnaround agenda. That is a comment we keep hearing from other folks that are concerned. Of course, most of these folks are making well over $50,000 a year off their retirement, when the average person on the street, most people on the street in my backyard are lucky to make $25,000, $30,000. I would rather see more $50,000 jobs up and down the street and less 50,000 retirement jobs up and down the street.
Would you give us an example of $50,000 retirement jobs, please?
Well, you take $4,500 a month, $5,000 a month.
Who do you know that gets that?
Who gets that?
Most folks that retire from building trades today.
Incorrect.
Untrue.
Well, for that, I don't think the problem is that the union has negotiated good wages. It's the problem that companies like Walmart and whatever big companies have all gotten smaller. It's not that the public unions or any other unions have outpaced everybody else because they're being greedy. It's just that the industries that we have are pushing down the wages of everybody else. It's not the union problem that there's that difference. The difference happens when everybody else is paying less. That's the problem. We need companies that pay good living wages. And if we don't get them here, our children are leaving. But the types of jobs we're getting, we're talking about the governor's proposal in here is to get up to a whole $10 by the end of 2022 as a minimum wage. And if we put ourselves in the position of those people, they're making $10 an hour. We can't stay here. We're not going to make it. We're going to have to live in run-down little tramp places. We can't do that. That's where our kids are going to end up. If we want them here, unless we ourselves have enough money to hire them for our own businesses or work on our farms, if we don't have that money, they're not going to stay here. And I don't have the money to hire my own kids, so they're going to leave because there isn't any good jobs. And $10 an hour is not a good job. I'll make a motion to send this back to committee. There's some spelling errors. Send the resolution. Policy procedure.
Back to the
Correct spelling errors.
your name, take your name. It's going to change. On the last sentence, it's talking about the attract jobs and make it misspelled.
And then at the top, the growth creates, it says freight.
We need another one. A motion or no motion, no. Fix it before it gets signed. I don't know if the one that's ready to be signed is going to be corrected or not, but we won't sign it until it's corrected.
I can't hear you.
There's two spelling mistakes, is what that we found. They need to be corrected.
Why can't we correct it?
We can't. That's what I'm saying, but make a motion to send it on or don't. We don't need to keep.
I withdraw my motion.
I'll make a motion for that one here.
Okay, we're going to be corrected here.
There you go.
The Jim, there's two letters need to be.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, if the county board votes to approve this, and it gets sent out, you can send out a corrected copy of it.
Okay.
Vote on it.
And so-
let him show you where the two are.
I don't need a motion to correct.
Discussion, motion? Four. It's been separately, Kevin?
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
Okay, wait a minute, where you need a motion to correct the spelling error? There was no second,
Yeah.
we don't need one, so is that withdrawn?
Withdraw. Withdraw it or just die?
Withdraw it.
Okay, we're going to withdraw it. Kevin, your motion to adopt the resolution with two changes.
Second.
Dan Raymond got these two, but Dan Raymond seconded it. Any other discussion on the resolution that we've been discussing? No? Okay, Jean, yeah, I'm just going to explain.
We vote yes, it's to adopt the resolution. If we vote no, it's to go against it.
Yes.
And that's the only
And that-
thing we're doing right
That is the
now.
vote that is currently on. The other one is, we'll get back to the body of the report.
Okay.
Okay. The yes vote sends this agenda, turnaround agenda resolution on, a no vote is not. Everybody clear? Or the board members? Yeah, everybody's clear. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bill,
Yes.
Curtis,
No.
Hanson,
Yes.
Asbargen,
No.
Kyle,
Yes.
Crumweedy,
Yes.
Lemie,
No.
Persley,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Schmidt,
No.
Schultz,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Whitlow,
No.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes. Wait for the vote.
both at 5.
Motion carries 12-5. Now, we have a motion and a second for the body of the report, or we'll entertain questions on the body of the report. There is a motion and a second. Just questions. Do we need any questions clarified or answered here? Not? We'll call the roll on the body of the report. Yep.
Curtis,
No. No.
no. Hanson,
Yeah.
Asbargen,
No.
Kyle,
Yes.
Crumweedy,
Yes.
Lemie,
No.
Persley,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yeah.
Shore,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
14-3, motion carries.
14-3. And committee report, Kevin Hanson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the county board, your committee to was referred finance would beg leave to submit the following report and matters before them. Your committee met at the administrative center on May 7th, 2015 at 9 a.m. Members present were Kevin Hanson, Brett Schmidt, Russell Bill, Danny Raymond, Charlie Walt and Ernie Curtis were absent. Also present were County Board Chairman Kyle Anderson, Finance Director Anita Speckman, Probation Supervisor Bart Steen, Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yerby, County Clerk and Recorder Lisa Fancher, Treasurer Mindy Coontz Hagan, as the Director Eric C.C., County Board Member Gene Kyle, Randy Schultz of Schultz Insurance, Susie Warner of Homestar Insurance, Ginger Boas of the University of Illinois Extension. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments. Randy Schultz reported 2 Scott cars from the Sheriff's Department were removed from the county's insurance policy. Susie Werner of Homestar Insurance stated that the December 1st opening enrollment change with all vendors was transitioning well. Also, a recent meeting regarding change with all vendors. Also, a recent meeting regarding an upcoming health fair for county employees went well, and she will keep the committee informed. Vendor Bullets of University of Illinois Extension provided a fiscal year 2015 budget and discussed the levy. Ms. Bola noted their budget runs from July 1st to June 30th. The annual budget plan explains the total matchable revenue for Iroquois County at $110,300. Ms. Bola explained this pays to have their local office and staff. It also funds many programs. She also let the committee know the levy has remained steady for the past 4 years. Department heads gave their monthly reports. They are as follows. As the director, Eric Cece is continuing to reach out to local jurisdictions. Cece reported he received his radio technician license. Treasurer Mindy Coons-Hagen informed the committee that with the combined effort of the assessment office and the county clerk's office, the tax bills were mailed and payments are already being received. The committee held a discussion on ICANN budget issues. Finance Director Anita Speckman referred to the spreadsheet Mr. Greg Murphy's presented last month to the committee. The spreadsheet explains the percentages. This percentage decrease from Kankakee, which would result in $13,987 reduction from Iroquois County. After further discussion, it was moved by Russell Bills and seconded by Dan Raymond to pay the county's ICANN portion based on EAV as stated in the existing agreement. A roll call motion carried. As the director, Eric Cece discussed the HMEP Hazardous Material Emergency Preparedness Grant he recently applied for. Cece told the committee the grant has been reduced. Instead of being 100% reimbursable, there is only an 80% match. Cece provided a reference sheet to the committee explaining how funds will be spent if the county will provide the remaining 20%. It was moved by Raymond and seconded by Beth Smith to increase the office expense line for the current fiscal year in the amount of $644.03 for the HMEP grant. Roll call vote is taken, motion carried. County Board Chairman Kyle Anderson updated the committee on the Blunt loan, stating signed papers on the new agreement should be in hand by Tuesday. The committee reviews the claim. It was moved by Smith and seconded by Bills to pay the bill subject to county board approval. Roll call vote is taken, motion carried. Under new business, Speckman explained management committee opened bids for the boiler replacement on May 4th. The budget for the project is $75,000. The bids came in at $87,000 from CNC Plumbing, $125,000 from Dodson Plumbing, and $144,670 from Clayton. The committee decided to speak with Henneman about why the project bids come in higher than expected, and also to speak with CNC Plumbing about the accuracy of the bid. If the bid was awarded to CNC Plumbing, we will be over budget. However, the bids for the jail roof replacement were awarded came in under budget by approximately $25,000. The Management Committee would like approval from the Finance Committee to reduce funds for the jail roof projects to cover the shortage for the boiler replacement project. It was moved by Bills and seconded by Smith to reduce the capital improvement line fund jail roof 145-710-81306 by $23,000 and add a new line for the boiler replacement 145-710-81314 in the amount of $23,000. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. As there is no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Bill and seconded by Smith to adjourn at 10:04 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote. All respectfully submitted for adoption.
The amount of the extension request is not 110,300. That looks like a typo to me. The request amount is 101,300.
Okay, that's noted. Motion on the floor. Stand support, is there a second?
Second.
Bill, second. We're up for question.
Move to separate first, move to, anyway, I want to do that. Take that paragraph about ICANN, the last paragraph on the, for separate consideration. Remove for separate consideration.
Has a motion to remove the last paragraph on the ICANN issue. Second. I'll second. Yes, so remove it for separate consideration. Again, for something that's considered today. Yea or nay, but separate consideration. Yes vote, or no vote, keeps it in the balance of the report. Everybody clear with that one? Call the roll.
Hanson.
Yes.
Aspargan.
Yes.
Isles.
Yes.
Trumwady.
Yes.
Lemay.
No.
Persley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yeah.
Alt.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
No.
Curtis.
Yes.
15-2, that paragraph has been removed for separate consideration. I would consider that. Go ahead, Dale.
The budget as it stands, without cutting it back, the previous chair told Greg Murphy and the board and whomever was there that day that our budget as passed would stay at that level for the rest of the year. That was the budget that's been worked on to this point by ICANN Regional Office for the last, this being the 5th month, I believe. It only lasts for 7 more months, as long as our budget is good. And then it goes back to the same 76.24 percentage, or whatever that, I think that's correct on the percentage. So I would suggest that, yes, we're looking at possible problems in the future. Currently, we're at a point that we can live with this, and I think because of being almost half of the way through the year, I think we ought to live with it.
Go ahead, Kevin.
The reason we made this motion was to stay in line with the
Agreement.
the what?
Agreement.
Yeah, the basic agreement. You know, we have no desire to cut things, but we weren't sure, Jim wasn't available, so we weren't sure if we were getting in trouble by not following the statute. You know. Gene?
I think that we need to leave it like we are, like Jim, and their calendar year doesn't run the same as ours. So we need to stay put. There's no reason for us to jeopardize education just because Kankakee can't fulfill their end of the bargain. We need to be careful and do as much as we can. I think there have been times when Kankakee's bailed us out. There's times when we can help with them.
Well, the idea of waiting, following the statute was, the money's in the budget for them. But we don't know what we're going to get with this state budget.
Right.
And we, you know, it just,
We can wait.
It's always going to be favored because it's,
Go back to the 76-24 split with the new budget. We've already got it budgeted now. Stick with it. Go back to the 76-24 when it's budgeted. I don't think there's any illegal about that.
I just want to tell you that if these cuts come down hard, you know, that's half a job here too.
We'll wait. We'll see.
So,
Jed?
We can look at that in the future, what comes down in the future. Right now, I agree with what Dale said. It's fair,
Well, we want to.
They're working with limited funding anyway, to begin with. And what's more important than education? Can you think of anything for our youngsters?
I need some clarification here. Maybe I misunderstood what the statement is here. So, since it's been separated, what Dale said is going to keep the funding at the level that they're getting in terms of dollars, not percentages.
Right.
There is no...
And that's not what it said in the original? I mean, in our statement here, that's where I'm confused. Does this say that the funding stays the same or not?
Mr. Chairman, I think here's the thing is, there's a whole bunch of things flying out here. It has nothing to do with the question. The question is, we have an agreement, basically a contract with the neighboring county that we're going to do this. We've had it in place for years. We've been through some tough times in the past, and we've made sure that we covered our contract, our agreement with the other county. What Dale's mentioned is budget. That's nothing to do with what the agreement is. In this case, what we're looking at that will come out of the report is, let's stay doing what we're saying we're going to do and give them the dollar amount based on our agreement. Now, that might not be the same dollar amount shown in a budget that we put together last fall, but the agreement says we're going to do this. So if they pay X amount, we pay X amount, and that's where we're at today.
yeah.
And so all this other stuff about kids not getting an education, that has nothing to do with it at this point. We're going by the agreement. We'll stay with our agreement that we had in place for, 10, 15 years now.
And we weren't, Jim wasn't there, so we weren't sure if we could do what we legally could do.
I understand.
I mean, it's not like we want to hurt education.
Go ahead, Dale.
Where's Jim now?
I'm in the corner.
Get back here. Feel free to speak up, Jim.
Please do.
Less than a pop roll.
If we are living by the agreement, then why did Kankakee pass a budget that would give less than 76% of the budget that we passed? I mean, I understand we have an agreement of 76-24, but when we were presented a budget, we passed it, and that was supposed to be our 24%. Why did they pass less dollars?
Greg, did they pass the 76, was it all legit on the first day, and then they cut it?
They were working until December 1st to come up with a budget. On that December 1st day, it was a lesser amount based on their cash position.
So as far as an agreement, to me, Kankakee broke it, we didn't.
I agree. Okay, so, I'm not sure I got my question answered exactly. So, if we, from what we have here, the amount of money, because I want to focus on that so I can understand it better, the amount of money that we send to ICANN, if we approve what was written in the original here, that would mean the amount of money we send to them will be diminished, correct?
Right.
I don't know, on the original what?
On this, our report.
On the committee or the original?
It will be lessened. yes.
Yeah, on this committee report right here. Okay. So I was mistaken. Can I change my vote to yes, that we should separate it? Because I misunderstood. Okay, it got separated, but I voted, okay. All right, I think I understand.
I guess in
Ryan's opinion, if we vary from the agreement, does that obligate us?
That's what we were worried about. I mean, it's not, we don't want to.
So-
It doesn't obligate you. I mean, you have to always pay at least the agreement amount, but if you want to pay more, you can do that. It's not going to obligate, there's nothing contractual about obligating yourself in the future unless you've got a contract that says you're obligated in that regard.
We've got the budget, the money in the budget to do this, to pay them like we're supposed to, but we weren't sure where we were at. And we try to follow the rules as much as we can.
Does our agreement state that we can change the amount that we give at any time?
That's what I just said.
The agreement, it would have to be done between the two counties.
We have
Okay,
to
but
give,
that agreement is always only in percentages and can be changed at any time.
The dollar amount, well,
The dollar amount can change at any time.
it's a dollar
Based off the
amount.
EAVs, right?
Based off the percentage of the EAV, the assessed valuation.
And are we talking about the EAV of Iroquois County?
Yes.
Right.
both.
Both counties,
Okay.
EAV, and that's what.
So has the EAV changed in Kankakee and here, or either one of them?
Well, we don't plan on changing anything in the agreement. Now, what they're doing with their EAV up there, I'm not sure there.
Well,
I
well,
just
then
know
you just told me
the
that we have
question
to
was,
base it off that.
they budgeted less, they give them, and so they're gonna get less dollars, so they would like us to make up the difference.
Okay, so us agreeing to our amount is a percentage of EAV. And if EAV hasn't changed, then we should still give the same amount of money according to our contract.
Percentage of the total dollar amount.
I thought it was a percentage of the EAV.
The EAV is what the percentage that, the EAV is basically the percentage.
They're supposed to pay 74, and we're supposed to pay 26.
I got
That's
that.
basically, yeah, okay, and the percentages come from the EAV.
Hold on. Greg, this is way more near and dear to your heart. I'd like to stand up and lay this out one time. Maybe a piece of chalk.
Our office is required to have a budget, and I have to generate a budget that shows 76% of a dollar amount is paid by Kankakee County, and 24% is paid by Iroquois County. Every year, since we have come together, Kankakee County has given an additional amount of money outside of that agreement. So I create a budget that shows a pot of money that represents so much for Kankakee, so much for Iroquois. I also have a separate budget that shows additional funds that are sent to me by Kankakee County. In the past, that's been to improve truancy services in Kankakee County. Now, as we move along, that extra money is diminishing, and we're talking about the core. Last year, our budget had a core budget, but I had additional money for Kankakee truancy, and I had additional money for Iroquois County truancy. So we always come up with a budget, and then there's additional funds that are allowable and not prohibited that go through. Whether the EAV has changed in the two counties since we've come together, I can't answer that today. I think it's an interesting question. My question to Iroquois County Board, as we're looking at supporting GED services, teacher licensure, truancy, and attendance assistance, to not diminish the dollar amount that was budgeted, realizing that it is not going to represent a 24-76% split. That would be the ask that I would put before the board today. Any questions that I could entertain?
We've got a lot of work.
And this difference was created because of the difference of fiscal years?
No, it's really the difference of when this body approved your budget significantly before Kankakee did. Kankakee was the very last moment before they were able to pass a budget, and so we were not able to adjust. We don't draw that money. We draw once a year, possibly twice a year. So we're at that point where we need to know what is the amount of money that we could expect from both counties. So I have other conversations going going on north of here, but for today, we're talking about the $14,000, $13,000 difference this year.
And it is in the budget, so it's not, but we weren't sure, we didn't have him there to explain it, other people ponied up.
And I apologize for that.
So, you know, we just were trying to stay within the agreement. You know. Yes.
And Greg did show up at budget time to explain it all in detail for us. And that, and he told us at the time that he didn't know what Kankakee was gonna do. And that's why at budget time we said, hey, we'll set aside in our budget X amount of dollars to take care of our liabilities as per the agreement.
Is this the first time this has happened?
Last year was the first time. Last year, if you were following the trend last year, it was quite a roller coaster. Our budget decreased, it decreased again in Kankakee, and then actually increased slightly at the end of the year. We netted with an $8,000 difference on the proportion.
So your previous fiscal year
My
kind of played out similar, and that was when previous board chairman said,
correct.
that's what I'm getting at.
Correct.
This is the second
This is year
time
two.
around.
We're trying to see things stabilize. Kankakee's budget is not stabilizing at this point. It's been 3 years of diminishing revenues.
Any questions for Greg, me?
I'd like to ask Jim if there's anything illegal in us going ahead and keeping the 13,000 that we have budgeted.
No.
Okay.
And I'd second that.
You can always pay more.
Okay.
You can always tip.
Are any other questions?
Just one, if you happen to get this 13,000 or so, is that, or 14,000, what's closer to, is that going to be separated like for the truancy fund that you got from Kankakee and us in the past?
We do, yes. When we run our books, we put that in a separate, and that means that that funding is solely used for Iroquois County employees.
Okay.
And you're going to see that in, we have a full-time attendance assistant caseworker that works in Iroquois County, and it's that funding that pays that person's salary and travel.
Any other questions? Now we considered it separately. Take a motion, one way or the other on it. There is no motion in the report.
Okay, I would move to leave the funding at the established level that we budgeted last November.
I would second that.
Make a motion. Dean seconds it. Keep the funding at the budget.
And that just means dollar amount, right? Okay. Just making sure.
Any other questions on that one? Yeah, vote goes back, put the almost 14,000 whole. No. Talk about that afterwards. Done.
So the vote is talking about the budget now, and not talking about the dollar of the agreement.
That's why I asked, we're talking about the dollar amount, not the percentage amount.
Dollar amount is what the ultimate concern
That's
is.
what we need.
The motion and the second. Mr. Devine, you feel pretty comfortable with that?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're voting on the dollar amount.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, call the roll.
Half Bargain,
Yes.
Lidle,
Yes.
Crumley,
Yes.
Lemie,
Yes.
Persley,
Yes.
Raymond, Schmidt,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Bill, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. Curtis,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yeah.
2-1, that issue is resolved. We have Motion and second. The balance of the report. Are there any other questions on the balance of the report?
I move that we accept that.
It's already, we got motion and second.
Yes.
No questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Stiles.
Yes.
Trumley.
Yes.
Lamie.
Yes.
Persley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Schuler. Willow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Phil.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hessbarger.
15-0 motion carries. Lyle Barron, Services.
Mr. Chairman and members of the County Board, your committee to whom was referred management services is designated to submit the following report on matters before them. The committee met at the Administrative Center on May 4, 2015 at 9 a.m. Members present were Baron, Scher, Alt, Hessbarger arrived late. Donna Crow and Adam Zumwalt were absent. Also present, County Board Chairman Kyle Anderson, Finance Director Anita Speckman, Maintenance Supervisors Larry Pankey and Clyde Mentz, County Board Member Gene Hiles, and Nate Meyer with Freehill Asphalt. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments. It was moved by John Scher and seconded by Charlotte Alt to amend the agenda to open bids for the boiler first. Motion died due to lack of a quorum. Management Chairman Lyle Barron moved forward with opening bids for the parking lot resurfacing project. One bid from Freehill Asphalt Inc. was received in the amount of $22,016.25. Mr. Kakemeyer made the committee aware of patchwork that should be completed before ceiling work begins. Parents proceeded to open bids for the roof at the Administrative Center and Jail. Two bids were received are as follows. Administrative Center, Langworth Roofing, $49,705. Cycle Inflation, $234,091. Jail Roof, Langworth Roofing, $67,784. Cycle Inflation, $63,313. This time, Mr. Hessbarger arrived at the meeting after the committee reviewed the bid for the parking lot resurfacing with Mr. Hessbarger. It is moved by John Short and seconded by all to approve the parking lot resurfacing bid from Freehill Asphalt in the amount of $22,016.25 under the stipulation that work will not begin until a decision has been made on the area that needs patched. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. The committee then reviewed bids for the roofing projects. It is moved by Alt and seconded by Hessbarger to approve the bid from Slagle Insulation Inc. in the amount of $63,313 for the roof at the jail. Motion carried. After that, they discussed waiting another month to make a decision on the Administrative Center roof due to the bids not being comparable, meaning one bid is for the entire roof and the other is for one of the roof. It is moved by Alt and seconded by Short to table bids for the Administrative Center roof until more information is received. Motion carried by voice vote. Lastly, bids for the boiler replacement project were opened. They are as follows. Dodson Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, Inc., $125,000. Lady Plumbing and Heating Company, $144,670. CNC Plumbing and Heating, Inc., $87,950. Finance Director Anita Speckman provided a breakdown of the boiler grant explaining once $9,500 has been paid to Henman Engineering for their services, only $65,500 is remaining for equipment. Second said the bid for the roof at the jail coming in approximately $23,000 under budget. The Management Committee can request the Finance Committee transfer those funds to the boiler grant project. Maintenance Supervisor Clyde Mentz noted all vendors who submitted bids for the boiler made a site visit. It is moved by Alt, seconded by Larry Hessbarger to accept the bid from CNC Plumbing Heating, Inc. in the amount of $87,950, subject to review by Henman Engineering and approval by the Finance Committee to transfer remaining funds from the jail roof project to the Administrative Center boiler project. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Parents reported there were no updates on the county farm waterway. Final approval has not yet been given to the FSA office. Maintenance Supervisor Larry Pankey reported on the following. The generator has been placed on the cement slab, and by the end of the week, piping for the gas will be completed. He will then be in contact with Metro Power for them to turn on the generator. Piping in jail is completed. He hopes to complete the upper cell block next year. Barron said due to asbestos on the piping, this will need to be factored in during budget time. Maintenance Supervisor Clyde Mintz reported on the following. The Health Department requested to have their back room hooked to the generator. This work is complete. Spectrum noted this will be paid for with grant money they had available. Mintz said he contacted Lady to look over the Glycol project. They agreed on some of the suggested plumbing changes, giving an approximate cost of $14,770 for the project. When he spoke with Weber Plumbing, they stated they did not have the equipment necessary to do the project and elected to pass. The project can begin within the next 10 days. Sure questioned the work on the Glycol project and asked if the work would interfere with the boiler project. Mintz said the Glycol project is estimated to take only 3 days, but he would make sure it did not interfere with the boiler project. The committee reviewed claims. It was moved by Sure and seconded by Halfbarger to pay the bills, subject to county board approval. Motion carried by a roll call vote. After last month's meeting, Speckman provided copies of county farm contract to committee members to review. Barron said the contract will be added to the June agenda for discussion. It was moved by Sure and seconded by Alt to adjourn the meeting at 10:30 a.m. Motion carried by a vote, all which is respectfully submitted. And I move for adoption.
Motion on the floor to accept the committee report. Second. What?
I have one. On the jail roof, is there a difference in, between the two companies, obviously, but in what type of roof as well?
Yes.
And what is the longevity of each of those?
They both have 15-year warranties. And I think everybody has a copy of the bid. So knew there would be questions, so make sure you have it.
I just get a little, I'm not too familiar with the foam roofing.
They sent a sample there of what it would be. And they want,
So I don't know, like, let's say 15, 20 years down the road, what's the tear-off procedure for?
They don't tear it off, they recoat it.
Or you treat it as stays then?
Yeah. The foam stays, it's just the roof coating would be redone or patched every 15 years, or like with this, when there was need for a patch, they can patch it. So they can patch an area with the coating if they had to. And there was an option on that if you wanted to do it. The bid that we accepted was for the better coating. They said on that roof, since they were going to be tearing down and building it up, it would have the proper slope that they needed, that they wouldn't need to put the better coating on it. So if we wanted to go with the acrylic coating instead of urethane coating, you could subtract $9,911 from the cost. You would still have the mineral surface on it for durability.
I got to say, for $4,000 difference, I would definitely go with Grover.
I'd like to know where there are other ones of these shingle roofs. Where are there some that you could compare to or talk to people to see what they're like?
You can talk to me. I don't have one, but one of our neighbors has one, and it's been there about 15 years, and it's in good shape yet. I've been on that roof.
You can walk on it?
Oh, yeah. It's a special roof foam. It's not the spray can foam. It's a higher density. So, I mean, it is something you can walk on. It's durable for that.
I kind of agree with Kevin. I think that we need to go with Fine White. They're proven. They've been here before. They do most of the roofs in this area. $4,000 is not even the full $4,000. It's not enough to squabble about. Not in a project like that.
I guess the complaint I've heard about these is if they get a leak, you can't find it. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to stay out of management's business.
I know.
But I gotta tell you, for $4,000, you're comparing a Chevy to a Cadillac or
I would think for, looks like a 0.6% difference between the bids based off the dollar amount on the jail roof I'm talking here. I would definitely go with a rubber way before I would use a foam buildup. The rubber can take a lot more structural settling and stuff. The foam seems like have a hard time making adjustments for structural settling and things like that. So I would, for the same price or close to it, I would use rubber definitely.
One more comment. I don't want to go against the committee. I'm sure you've done due diligence, but if you have some input, Derek, it's your building. Or you don't want to go there?
No, I've been known to make comments when I should and shouldn't, so. A couple concerns. I wasn't at that management meeting, so I didn't get to see the bids. I know we have the two entryway roofing too on the east and west side. I know the one on the east side needs to be built up. It needs, the aluminum in there is separated a little bit. I think structurally it needs some work done on it. I believe the Langlois bid, I believe covered the east and west entryway roofs as well. Both of them did. Okay. My next question, or my next concern would be, I don't think anybody is in favor of flat roofs. We've got it, we've been dealing with it for 51 years now. It's always had a rubber roof on it. Our maintenance staff is familiar enough with the rubber side of it that if something happens where we don't have to get the manufacturer, the person that put it down back here to do something, they're familiar with it. We do have to get on that roof occasionally because we have filters and belts and different things that need to be changed on the air exchangers and stuff that are on there. So they're more familiar with it. I'm more familiar with it. And the one concern I had was I believe I was here when they gave the 2 months ago, I think it was, or 3 months ago when they gave their little spiel to the management committee, and they recommended like 8 years into it that they recoat. Is 10 years? Is that recoat, is that covered with this bid that they have, or is that an additional cost?
That would be, I think both companies recommend regular inspection and taking care of any issues. The coating has at least a 10-year life, but
It would be an added cost then.
But the roofing system on both had 15-year warranty. So they had comparable warranty.
I'm in, if I were voting, I would be much more comfortable with the rubber roof. It's been on there for 51 years as we go, and would I love to have a pitched roof on it? Yeah. That's cost prohibitive right now, obviously, but for the last 51 years we've had a rubber roof on there, and that would be what I would lean towards. With not, I guess there's not a big cost difference if we were talking $20,000-$25,000.
It would just be, I guess there would be a bigger cost difference if we decided to go with, say, the acrylic coating instead of the urethane. The difference between the two, they said on this roof, you'd want to go with the urethane because it doesn't have a good enough slope for that one, but they would put the slope that it would drain. And so then you'd be looking at closer to 14,000.
And the other thing is you can't forget you're tying, if I read this correctly, you're tying some of the savings, even though it's minimal, you're tying it back into the boiler project, correct?
Both of them were under budget, so I don't think that's an issue.
No effect? Because there was a mention about transfer in there, correct?
Right.
Right, the 23,000 actually took a higher bid just in case.
Okay.
It's actually more around 24, 25, so there's room regardless of what choice was made.
Okay, like I said, I'm not going against committee, I'm just...
Is there a warranty or anything?
Both have 15-year warranty.
They both have 15 years, so this roof has a 15-year warranty.
Structure, not the coating.
95,000.
You said the coating has to be done in 10 years. There's a difference.
He said it would have a 15-year manufactured warranty.
Well, then why do we have to recoat it in
Well,
10 years?
I guess you wouldn't have to recoat it in 10 years necessarily. It would need to be inspected though, just like any other roofing system. They're occasionally inspected.
And you know when they inspect, they're gonna find something.
Who in the warranty cover that?
If there was an issue, I would think the warranty would cover it, yeah.
Okay. What are, other questions on the roof? Dale?
I believe though, when they gave their presentation, it was a recommendation that they do it at 10 years, right? Not that,
It might have been.
not that it just needed to be inspected, that,
I mean, I would
that they need
I
to
would
go.
think we'd need to have whoever come inspected every couple of years, whether it's rubber roof or not. That might have avoided issues with this building that had been inspected more regularly.
And do we know the cost? If it has to be reapplied, do we know what the cost would be?
I don't think
anybody would know. Well, it could actually be more than the rubber one.
Depends the cost at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to...
The spray is an addition. If they have to reapply the spray, it's in addition to the bid. And that, they didn't give us a figure on that.
Should we do this for separate consideration?
It is send it back. Send it back to committee.
You don't want to send it back, though, do you? I talked to them.
No.
Good. One more question. What roof are we on now, as far as number on the jail?
Jail roof.
No, but what number of roof is it in 51 years?
No, this is,
You know, there?
Boy, I know I've been there, this is the second roof.
Since you've been there?
Well, there was one, when I started there in 92, there was obviously a roof, and then they've done it one time since, so it's the second roof, so I'm gonna guess with 50-some years, there's probably been at least 3 roofs on there.
This would be like number 4 then.
Or thereabouts, yeah.
Had the roof that was there now been done the way it should have been, we
Right.
probably wouldn't be talking about this. They didn't get all the aggregate out, and they put a roof on top of it, and so that aggregate just ground it from underneath. That's where both projects include tearing it down to the cement base and starting over.
Motion and a second for the balance of the report. So,
Are we going to check this out and make a motion to check it out?
Hanson make for separate consideration.
Just the jail roof.
That's the jail room paragraph.
Next, to the bottom, first page.
Kevin, add the rubber roof to your motion.
And separate consideration and put the roof, go to the rubber roof.
Turn it in and go with the rubber roof.
Yeah.
One motion.
For $4,000 and, yeah.
So your motion to
Put the consideration and change to rubber roof.
change the roof?
That sound all right? You don't want it back to committee, right?
I do not want it back to committee.
All right.
That's
One-
one-
I was doing that because you said to.
One step process and the other. Okay? Okay, making sure. All right, so we got, Jason really likes that.
That sounds good to you, Greg?
Separate.
You think that's right?
Second?
Rubber. And second. Yeah, we got a second. Any questions? Yes, vote, turn it into now a rubber roof. Through Langley, that's
One
their
more.
bid.
One more.
And one more thing.
Just want to be clear, now, that was a typo in there on the money, and we're under on everything.
Yeah.
There is money.
There was a typo. Where was it?
32,000 under budget, not 23. 95,000 minus 63.
Okay, so you're on the second page, on the first paragraph?
On the second page at the top.
Okay, and then, so does the 23,000 that was referenced in finance need to be changed, Anita? No, it was a round number that we would have at least 23 to be able to cover the issues here. Okay. That was our shortfall here that we needed to cover. Okay, all right.
Everybody comfortable they need to be a vote on the motions? We have to push this rubber up. We'll keep it. Call. Please call the roll.
Crumweedy,
Yes.
Lamine,
Yes.
Kersley,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Short,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Hall,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Barron,
No.
Bill,
Yes.
Curtis,
No.
Hanson,
Save us $4,000.
Asgarden.
No.
I'm sorry.
Zero.
No.
Every year
Kyle.
you're gonna be
Yes.
about 0.5. Probably just take this note. The last one we worked on,
Okay.
We had motion, that motion carried 12-4, 1 out. So we are at the balance report. Questions on the balance? Why don't you feel comfortable with the balance report, everything?
Yeah, I mean, did anybody have any questions on the boiler project? I would say the engineer didn't have his figures right, I don't know.
What was the question?
Why was the estimate, the lowest estimate, even above the engineer's estimate?
Oh,
Yeah.
The glycol project, and I'm not familiar with the South heating system, but glycol sounds like is what's going through the boiler.
Yeah.
Why would you change the antifreeze basically before you change the engine block?
The way the system's set up down there, the glycol circulates through the system and into a heat exchanger, and then the boiler circulates into the heat exchanger. So they're two separate circulation systems that just go through a heat exchanger. So we were able to do the glycol without interfering with the boiler and vice versa.
Then the boiler will get fresh glycol.
Right, but that, and actually,
That's
with
the
where the
part.
boiler is, it doesn't technically need glycol because it's not in an area that would freeze, whereas the rest of the system circulates out to the, no, the cooling tower.
If the boiler's working, it won't freeze.
Right.
Any other questions on the balance report?
That's getting rid of them 220 horse motors that we didn't need.
Yes, that's good. And it also, by eliminating that one section of pipe, I think it cut down the amount of glycol needed by about a third. Which, by doing that, we're not using pumps that we don't need, and by not having to get all that glycol, that savings pretty much paid for the repiping. It might have been $300 or something different, but it's pretty much paid.
Have you talked to Henneman yet?
I have not talked to Henneman, but we got an email back from him, I believe, that I read. And they basically wanted to make sure that TNT had covered everything they did. I talked to TNT. They said, yeah, they had their manufacturer rep here. They went over it. Everything's there. They're lower than the others because he said, they were trying to hit, that budgeted amount, but that was as good as they could come. And they're taking less of a profit trying to get to that amount and wanting to help out the county and stuff. So I think they'll do a good job on it. And they just want to help the county and get some work here.
Okay, last shot. Any other questions on the balance and management report?
What's the practice going on with FSA?
Paperwork.
Why don't we ever hear anything?
Call state.
Okay.
We have.
Thank you.
You got
I'm not questioning here.
No news is good news.
They're paying the.
Oh, they're paying the bill.
established rent that we set up there a while back.
New ones, so we're in good shape.
They bail. They none, they call the roll.
Lemay.
Yes.
Herzl.
Yes.
Staff report. Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Schuer.
Yes.
Willow.
Yes.
Newmaw.
Yes.
Ault.
Yes.
Anderson. Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Asbargen.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumwee.
Yes.
Passed 7-0. Tax committee, Mr. Schultz.
Mr. Chairman, members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred tax would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on May 5, 2015 at 9 a.m. Members present were Schultz, Crumwee, Schmidt, Whitlow, and Herzl. Osmer was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman Kyle Anderson, Treasurer Mindy Coons-Hagan, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yerkler, Finance Director Anita Speckman, County Board Member Gene Hiles, Animal Control Administrator Dr. Youssef, Animal Control Warden Shay Cobb, and ICPHD Administrator D. Shipper. The meeting was called to order. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Dan Persley and seconded by Jed Whitlow to pay the bills subject to county board approval. Motion carried by voice vote. There were no public comments. The department heads gave their monthly reports. County Clerk Lisa Fancher reported the election is over and everything went well. On the tax extension side, her office rolled to the treasurer's office last week. Also, they are getting ready for a purge of the voter registration files as required by law during the odd-numbered years. Fancher also said there is grant money available to pay for all voter registration cards. The grant also pays the full cost of the voter registration system. Treasurer Mindy Coons-Hagan reported tax bills were mailed Friday, May 1st. Thanks. A total of 25,175 tax bills were printed and $11,487 was spent on postage. Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yerkler stated work had picked up since the tax bills were mailed out. His office is processing junior freezes and certificate of errors as they come in. Also, a majority of assessor work is in. Dr. Youssef submitted his monthly report for calls. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Troy Crumwee and seconded by Whitlow to adjourn the meeting at 9:12 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for its adoption.
Motion on the floor to accept the tax committee report. Is there a second? Any questions on the tax committee report? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Persley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz. Schuer.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Newmaw.
Yes.
Ault.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Asbargen.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumwee.
Yes.
Lemay.
Yes. Carried 7-0. Health Committee, Crumwee.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom is referred health would beg leave to submit the following report from the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on May 5th, 2015 at 9:30 a.m. Members present, Crumwee, Schultz, Schmidt, Whitlow, and Person. Donald Osmer was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman
Anderson, Finance Director Anita Speckman, Iroquois Public Health Department Administrator D. Shippert, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, and County Board Member Gene Hiles. The meeting is called to order. There were no public comments. Iroquois County Public Health Department Administrator D. Shippert distributed a summary report of activities for community and school health programs, environmental and senior programs. Shippert explained many grants are on hold at this time and they are waiting on notification from the state and the governor's final budget. Most grants are stable, but some will experience a decrease in funding, such as the Illinois Breast and Cervical grants. Shippert gave a presentation on community health. The presentation included a listing of the staff registered nurses. Shippert explained the SIREN, State of Illinois Rapid Electron Notification System, and INEDS, Illinois National Electronic Disease Surveillance System. Shippert also explained how communicable diseases are handled once they are diagnosed. In closing, Shippert stated a lot of STD treatment is provided at the health department, and they are here to help stop the spread of communicable diseases. It's hard to say. But I'd like to make a correction there. The health department does not provide treatment. They provide assurance that treatment is given by the medical professional. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Dale Schultz and seconded by Brett Schmidt to pay the claims subject to county board approval. Motion carried by a voice vote. Under old business, Health Committee Chairman Crumley provided a letter for the committee to review. The letter is a revised version of what was sent to the associated agencies in February 2014. Originally, the letter asked the agencies to attend the Health Committee meeting monthly due to the revamping of the newly formed Health Department. There was participation in the following month. Crumley explained, but not in the months following. Crumley's revised letter is again asking these agencies to report on a monthly basis. Letters will be mailed to Public Health Board, 708 Mental Health Board, Board for Developmentally Disabled Persons, Veterans Assistance, Volunteer Services, ARC of Iroquois County, and ABRA. It was moved by Schultz and seconded by Persley to approve the letter to be mailed to the agencies. Motion carried by a voice vote. A copy of the letter is attached. It was moved by Jed Whitlow and seconded by Brett Schmidt to adjourn at 10:13 a.m., all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for its adoption.
Motion on the floor to accept the Health Committee report. Is there a second? Any questions on the Health Committee report? Gene?
On the letter, I feel like the once a month is too often. I feel that, for example, the 708 board only meets quarterly, and it would be better to have them report after their meeting. But that's my opinion.
I agree with Gene, that they should have the option to attend monthly if they would like, but I think we should set up something that coincides with their calendar, their fiscal year or something. But they haven't been coming at all. That's the problem.
The intent is to get their attention.
Yeah, that's alarming. Their levy is levy dollar amount is higher than the public health levy dollar amount, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't appear to us very often. Maybe no cause for concern, but there's a letter again.
I think it's partly our fault too, because previously when we had the health committee, they were invited by the health committee chairman, and they rotated. So I know I sat on that committee, so.
Any questions on the health report? Seeing none? Call roll, please.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes. Yes.
Anderson. Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Asbarger.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumley.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Persley.
Yes. Carried 17-0. IT committee, Mr. Crumley.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee, to whom is referred, IT, would beg you to submit the following report on the matters before them. The committee met at the Administrative Center on May 5th, 2015 at 10:23 a.m. Members present were Crumley, Schultz, Bills, and Anderson. Also present, Finance Director Anita Speckman and Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergin. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments. Finance Director Anita Speckman discussed the fax lines that were previously on IP Flex. 4 of them have been successfully moved to POTS lines, and 3 fax lines are being eliminated. Speckman also updated the committee about 2 PRI accounts, one in the administrative building and one in the courthouse. Speckman said when we switched from PRI to IP Flex, it was supposed to be an upgrade in service with no early termination fees on our contract. This did not happen, and we were charged just over $5,000 for each account. Recently, Speckman received a $650 refund check from AT&T on the PRI account for overpayment on the final bill. Speckman believes they have applied for the credit for the early termination fees and we have received the remaining as a refund. Speckman also emailed AT&T requesting a copy of the final bill for her records. Speckman informed the committee she received a voicemail from Jeff Facer, president owner of Area-Wide, stating that Corey Douglas is no longer with the company and Mr. Facer will be handling our account until further notice. IT Chairman Crumley asked Speckman about 911's computer issues and if they had been resolved. Speckman said she had no update. Last month, 911 Director Nida Dubel said she would monitor the computers on her own and let the committee know if she wanted something else done. It was moved by Russell Bills and seconded by Schultz to adjourn at 10:35 a.m. Motion carried, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for its adoption.
The IT report, is there a second? Schultz? Questions on the IT report? Call the roll.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hackbarth.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumley.
Yes.
Lamine.
Yes.
Persley. Raymond.
Yes.
Motion carried 17-0. Additional public safety, Mr. Sherr.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom is referred Judicial and Public Safety would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on May 6, 2015 at 3 p.m. Members present were Sherr, Barons, Curtis, Hiles, and Lamine. Donna Crow and Jed Whitlow were absent. Also present, Sheriff Derek Hagan, Coroner Bill Cheatham, Probation Supervisor Bart King, State's Attorney Jim Devine, Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines, 911 Director Nida Dubel, and I don't believe Carl Waters was present. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments. Sheriff Derek Hagan's monthly report for April included Patrol had 553 calls for service for the month of April. Year-to-date calls for service 1,960, a 6% increase over 2014. Booked in 70 prisoners for the month of April. Year-to-date book-ins 267. Average daily population in April 21. Average length of stay for April 25 days. Year-to-date average population 23. Year-to-date average length of stay 15 days. Overtime in the jail for April was 208 hours on the schedule, 88 hours more than the previous month. Overtime will continue to increase due to employees taking vacation during May through August. Part-time correctional officer worked 27 hours. A correctional officer was taken to IMH emergency room for treatment after a physical confrontation with an inmate. 1 day of work was missed. 2 squad cars were removed from the county's insurance policy. The new water lines in the lower east and lower west part of the jail are done. Coroner Bill Cheatham reported a $4,300 grant for equipment was received from the state last month. Cheatham held a brief discussion on Kankakee's budget issues. The county board has been asked to make drastic cuts, which could result in closing the morgue. Cheatham said this affects us by making us go to Champaign, McLean, or Will County. However, if the morgue remains open, the fees may increase. Probation Supervisor Barb King told the committee 4 of her officers have completed 40 hours of firearms training
passed psychological testing and have been allowed by Judge Kick to carry a weapon. State's Attorney Jim Devine reported to the committee his office is now fully staffed. Gene Hiles asked for an update on the murder trial. Devine said the new trial date is set for August 17. Devine also said he recently indicted an individual on another murder case in Milford. Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines distributed her monthly report to the committee for review. Hines noted almost $25,000 has been collected from Pioneer Credit since January. Hines told the committee she will be having 3 cameras installed in her office. The cameras will be directed towards where money is handled. Due to the traffic flow that comes in and out of her office, having the cameras will help with security and settle any disputes. This project will be paid out of automation or document storage, costing approximately $1,500. 911 Director Nida Dubel issued her ETSB report for April. Total calls for service 1,825. Police 1,159. Fire 107. Ambulance 329 with 196 change of quarters. Coroner 22. Animal Control 12. Last month 20% of 911 calls received were landline and 80% were wireless, with a total of 1,404 911 calls received. There were 4,001 non-emergency calls received. Telecommunicators worked 147 hours overtime in April. Director worked 68 hours on the radio, 52 hours of which was training. Dubel reported a telecommunicator vacancy. Dubel discussed the phone outage that occurred on April 20th. A line between Papineau and St. Anne was cut, resulting in no service for close to 20 hours. Dubel reported on the hostage situation and commended her staff for doing an excellent job. Dubel is still working with legislation. Our House has until Friday to file any new legislation, and ours has not been filed yet. Dubel said this is concerning. Under old business, John Scheer told the committee he was approached about some security concerns at the front entrance of the courthouse. The way the security is set up now, an individual could enter the courthouse and put the guard out of commission without anyone in the building knowing. Scheer said there should be some other way of making individuals walk through the metal detector before they have a chance of putting the guard out of commission, such as installing bulletproof glass. Scheer told the committee this is something to think about as far as costs are involved and what other options there may be. Hines and Devine said Judge Lestfeld suggested having a uniformed officer in the building. Scheer said the matter will be discussed in more detail next month. The committee reviewed claims. It was moved by Hiles and seconded by Vince Lemie to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Ernie Curtis and seconded by Lyle Barron to adjourn the meeting at 3:42 p.m. Motion carried by a voice vote. All of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for its adoption.
Motion on the floor, I've got the traditional public safety report. Is there a second? Jeff Whitlow. Question? None? Please call the roll.
Schultz.
Yep.
Short.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Grunwald.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yeah.
Hathbarger.
Yes.
Hiles.
Yes.
Crumley.
Yes.
Lemie.
Yes.
Bursley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Carried 17-0. Mr. Raymond, my name is Elwood.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom is referred planning and zoning would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on May 8, 2015 at 10:15 a.m. Members present were Raymond, Curtis, Bermudi, Scheer, Zumwalt, and Wasmer were absent. Also present, Supervisor of Assessments Bobby Ergler. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments.
Supervisor of Assessment Bob Yergler reviewed the monthly report. Yergler reported April was a good month for building permits. He also reported quite a few kennel fees and campground licenses and mobile home licenses. Overall, 15 permits were issued, 5 for agricultural, 10 for residential. Yergler distributed the monthly report printed from the DevNet system with detailed information about the fees and activity for the month. Yergler said there will not be a zoning board of appeals meeting held this month, but there will probably be one scheduled for June. There is a case open now with a kennel owner that has an existing license but would like to increase the number of dogs they handle. This will need to be presented to the zoning board. Yergler made the committee aware of an employee that retired in the zoning office, and his office is transitioning. A new plumbing inspector has been hired and 2 appointments to the zoning board of appeals will be presented to the county board, Steve Rapp and Don Deeney. Once approved by the county board, the zoning board of appeals will be fully staffed. The committee discussed the regional planning commission. At a previous county board meeting, county board member Dale Schultz questioned the legality of the disbanding the regional planning commission. Dan Raymond contacted State's Attorney Jim Devine about the matter, and Devine agreed with Schultz. Devine said, in his opinion, the regional planning commission should be left disbanded until the county is in financial shape to take it back on, and it should not be removed from any ordinances, including subdivision ordinances. Raymond reminded the committee that the subdivision ordinance was sent back to committee last month. He suggested the matter be tabled until next month to give the committee more time to review it and to make additional changes, including the wording on maintaining the regional planning commission. John Schur asked Raymond if Devine provided him with a statute stating that we have to have a regional planning commission. Raymond said Devine did not cite the statute, did cite the statute to him, but he is unsure what it is. This is something Devine can discuss in detail at the county board meeting. It was moved by Ernie Curtis and seconded by Crumwady to table the matter of subdivision ordinance revisions. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Schur, seconded by Curtis to pay the bill subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Under old business, Schur wanted to update the committee on House Bill 3523. Last month, a resolution opposing HB 3523 was sent to the county's state representative and the governor in Springfield. Schur said the bill was approved in the House and sent to the Senate. The Senate committee approved it and is going to take the Senate floor where it will likely be approved. Schur also discussed Senate Bill 920, which is sponsored by State Representative Jason Barrettman. Yergler stated he spoke with State Attorney Jim Devine about some of the complaints he is receiving in his office and how to properly handle them. For example, garbage in individuals' yards or lawns that need mowing. Mr. Devine told Yergler he didn't believe he had the proper authority to respond to these complaints as they appear to be health department related issues. Moving forward, Yergler said he will begin to redirect such complaints to the health department. It was moved by Crumwady and seconded by Schur to adjourn at 10:38 a.m. Motion carried, all of which is respectfully submitted and signed by all members present, and I move for adoption.
Motion on the floor to accept the zoning. Thank you, zoning committee report. Is there a second? Questions?
I'd like to give Jim's explanation of what we did illegal and continue to do illegal.
Regional planning, I'm going to look at it. I haven't had a chance to research it, so I'll get an answer by next zoning meeting.
Any other questions on the balance of the zoning report? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Schur.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Asbargen.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumwady.
Yes.
Lamine.
Yes.
Persley.
Yes.
Raymond. Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Motion carried 17-0. Bill, Transportation Highway Committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the county board, your committee from referred transportation and highway has agreed to submit the following report on matters before them.
Bill Committee met at the Iroquois County Highway Building on May the 8th, 2015 at 9 a.m. Members present was Bills, Hanson, Stoltz, and Hashbarger. Charlie Alt, Gene Hiles, and Don Crow were absent. Also present, County Engineer Joe Moore, County Board Vice Chairman Dan Raymond, representatives from Vintage Construction, Big Old Services, Terra Firma Soils, Newell Construction, and also IPC, I'm not seeing that guy there. Sheldon Highway Commissioner Jim Yena, Beaver Highway Commissioner Gary Harmon, and the Ford County Highway Engineer Mr. Greg Ferguson. The meeting was called to order. Bids were open for 150008 GM, which is commonly known as the county-wide striping. They were as follows. Only one bid, that was varsity striping, it was $47,315. Bids were open for 1500 non-MFT01 County Highway 24 reseal. They were as follows. Finished construction was $112,376, and brake material was $109,466. Bids were open for the 1500 169 RP, which is the Loader Road Base Stabilization Project. They were as follows. Finished construction was $388,428, and the Terra Firma Soils were $341,648. Bids were open for 13-14125-00, which was a bridge on the Loda County line. They were as follows. Newell Construction was $249,730. Iroquois Paving was $275,625. And the Big O Services was $295,465. County Engineer Joel Moore said there will be likely for the committee to accept the low bidder once the bid calculations were entered. There were no public comments. The claims and financial reports for the month were reviewed. It was moved by Dale Schultz and seconded by Kevin Hansen to pay the bills subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. This county highway was $64,275. County bridge was $2,844. Nothing out of the county matching or township bridge fund. County motor fuel tax was $23,309. Township motor fuel tax was $294,429. A resolution for improvement for section 08-0022202 RS and a 08-0021901 RS was discussed. Morse said our portion of the improvement paid out of the county's matching tax fund was $147,500. It was moved by Hanson and seconded by Larry Hashbarger to approve the resolution for that section in the amount of $147,500. The roll call vote was taken and that motion carried. Moore presented a resolution for improvement for section 1500-169 RP on Loader Road to be paid from the county highway fund of $350,000. It was moved forth by Schultz and seconded by Hashbarger to approve the resolution for improvement for section 1500-169-00 in the amount of the $350,000. A roll call vote was taken and that motion carried. A resolution for improvement on section 1500 non-MFT01 to be paid from the county highway fund in the amount of $170,000 was discussed. It was moved by Hashbarger and seconded by Hanson to approve the resolution for improvement on this section 1500 non-MFT01 for County Highway 24 in the amount of $170,000. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. The resolution for improvement on section 1500-299-00 AS to be paid from county motor fuel tax fund in the amount of $20,000 was discussed.
Moore said the project was let out last month, but came in over the project amount. This is the supplemental resolution. It was moved by Ashbarton and seconded by Hanson to approve the resolution for improvement for section 1500-299-00AS in the amount of $20,000. The roll call vote was taken. That motion carried. Moore presented a resolution for improvement for section 14125-00 and 1407-140-00BR to be paid from the county bridge fund in the amount of $36,000. It was moved by Schultz and seconded by Hanson to approve the resolution for improvement for section 14125-00BR and 1407-140-00BR in the amount of $36,000. A roll call vote was taken, and that motion carried. The bid tabs from Ford were explained to the committee from the bids that were taken previously that day. It was moved by Hanson and seconded by Schultz to accept the low bids from Varsity Striping in the amount of the $47,315 for section 15000008 GM countywide striping. Grade material in the amount of $109,466 for the section of 1500 non-MFT 01 County Highway 24 refill. Terra Firma soils in the amount of the $341,648 for the section 1500-169 00RP, the loader road base stabilization. And Newell Construction in the amount of the $249,730 for the section 13-14125-00BR Loda County Line Bridge. A roll call vote was taken. That motion carried. Under old business, Moore reported he had a meeting with the Pilot Hill about the culvert replacements and another meeting is scheduled. He said he will keep the committee informed. Also, a new officer of quality review is doing the motor fuel tax audits. Ashbarton questioned why the highway meetings are not being audio or video recorded. It was also explained that in the motion, however, it was explained, motion had been made in a previous meeting not to record them. However, there is an audio recording device that can be brought to record them each month. Ashbarton said he thinks it would be a good idea since all our meetings are being recorded. It was moved by Ashbarton and seconded by Hanson to begin recording the highway meeting beginning in June. The roll call vote was taken. That motion carried. It was moved by Ashbarton and seconded by Schultz to adjourn at 9:50 a.m. All of which was respectfully submitted, signed by all present and a few more, and I would move for the adoption of this report.
Questions on that?
Yeah, that's right. Where is that one?
Seeing none, call roll please.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson. Ashbarton.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Crumbley.
Yes.
Lemay.
Yes.
Hursley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Schultz.
Yes.
Short.
Motion carries 17-0. Appointments list in front of you, and a motion approved to pay appointment. Jed Whitlow, is there a second?
Second. Last time.
Crumley, questions? Not, all All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, ready, John, sure. Last page, yeah, the claims list in front of you. Motion to approve the claims. Larry Hansford, second. Questions on the claims? We have one additional one from probation, kind of a little $105 off expense. Copier?
Lease.
Or lease copier. No questions? We'll call roll, please.
Simoff.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Anderson. Barron. Bill.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yeah.
Hackbarger.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yes.
Crumley.
Yes.
Lamine.
Yes.
Hursley.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Carried 17-0. The old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Dale?
was that additional bill was included, right?
It was in the list, yeah.
Okay.
Correct, it went through them. Dan?
I've got a couple of questions I'd like to direct it at planning and zoning, if I may. My number one question is a piece of property that's has been talked about for several years. It's a piece of property about 3 miles east on the Loader Road, on the south side of the road, and there was about a 50 or 60 foot old single wide house trailer on the property. It's tilted at about 30 degrees. There's an old farmhouse there with all the windows broke out of it. Weeds as tall as this roof all over the property. It needs to be removed and cleaned up before somebody gets hurt, or it's just a place for an accident waiting to happen. And I was wondering what action can be taken, and can we start some action?
That's an ongoing project.
First of all, that's a health department issue. Secondly, would you like to contribute the money to pay for it? Because
What?
it's a health department issue.
Why would it be a health department issue? It's a nuisance to the county.
It's a health department issue.
And
Secondly,
what statute says that?
The nuisance ordinance says that the health department will address that.
Pardon?
The nuisance ordinance says that the health department will address that.
So when is this going to happen?
It's been addressed. And
Pardon?
it's been addressed. It's been turned over to the state attorney's office.
the county has
Well,
no
it was-
money to
that
pay
was
for
done
it. They could use
4
it
years
to
ago.
contribute some.
So we turn over to Jim Devine, and what's his answer?
The county has no money to pay for that.
Pardon?
The county has no money to pay for what you want done.
It isn't what I want done, it's what our county wants done.
The county has no money to pay for that. Would you like to contribute some?
No, that's not.
You can't find the landowner?
The point is, the state's attorney has to prosecute the landowner to get the property cleaned up. It's not a taxpayer issue. I'm not gonna pay for it.
Who's liable if something goes
The owner
There
of
isn't
that
anybody
property.
in here we're paying for
That's
it
what, it's
by
got,
taxes.
the first one's gotta be prosecuted.
Is it going to the property owner?
We have a lot of abandoned property, Troy, the same way. We have no money to pay for it.
I agree.
He don't have any...
We've done this before. A lot of times it's by a neighboring property owner that's trying to sell the property, wants to boost its values by getting rid of it. We've had people come in and buy property next to one of these existing structures, and then try to get the county to have it moved or cleaned up at taxpayer expense. And it's a dangerous place to go, because the next thing you know, you're telling people what they can have on their property and what they can't have.
Have you ever seen this piece of property?
Yeah.
You should go out there and take a look at it.
There's a lot of property.
I think you're missing the point. Whoever owns the property is responsible for the property. Why am I responsible?
I don't think Dan is asking this county to spend the money to clean it up. I think he just would like to see it done.
Yeah.
Well, he has planning
And
and
it's been
zoning.
transferred into an issue of paying for it. And it's an issue that's been on the books for 10 years?
But where do you
Well,
start?
it's
and
been
where
on
do
there
you
at least
stop?
6 or 7.
It's been in the state's attorney's office for most of that 10 years. So that's where the question needs to go.
Yeah, agreed.
It sounds like the property owner took care of a leaky roof problem on this too, and put the extreme angle on it, because of the good slope, the water goes up.
We'll look at it. You have another, other than that one, Dan, was there another?
Yes, I've got one more question. West of Crescent City, about 2.5, maybe 3 miles, on Route 24, there's a farm machinery
Yes.
for sale. There used to be, years ago, there was 3, 4, 5 pieces of equipment sitting there, and now there's 24 or more pieces of farm equipment sitting along the highway. Is this zoned for this kind of activity?
For farm equipment?
Pardon?
Farm equipment?
Sales
of farm equipment.
Farm equipment, there's tractors, there's
Zoned for
plows.
sales
there's-
is what he's saying,
There's,
no matter what it is.
yeah, is that zoned for that?
It does sit on farm ground, and I know the business that does run that has a storefront in Clifton, so I'm not sure how they do that. But it's something we can look at, but we'll look at it.
I think it should.
I would say more than likely they are fine.
They're what?
Basically, I think what you're talking about is the farm equipment there right past the creek on
Yeah,
24th,
yeah,
okay? That sits on a field owned by the gentleman who owns part of that business. I don't know what we could or couldn't do about that. Once again, going back to the same thing with anything we've ever discussed in planning and zoning, it goes back to property rights. Now, is he running a business out of there? I don't know. They do have a storefront in Clifton. Is everything processed through that storefront? If it is, then technically he's probably not running a business out of there, and that's nothing more of a storage facility, which is not prohibited.
Which is or is not?
Which is not prohibited. If he's storing farm equipment there, there's nothing in the ordinances that say you can't store your farm equipment outside, whether you're owning it to sell or whatever it may be. Nothing that I'm aware of, but we'll discuss it. I'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Any old business? Said it was old business. Yeah, well, any new business? I want to make a motion to adjourn. Dan Raymond,